Ever feel like society's a pressure cooker ready to blow?
Oh, yeah.
That's America in the Civil War era.
Yeah.
Massive change.
Yeah.
Huge moral questions and a bloody conflict.
Yeah.
Today, we're using James M. McPherson's Battle Cry of Freedom to understand this turbulent time.
It goes way beyond battles and generals into the forces that created this clash.
Before we dive in, a word about mindful moments.
Okay.
Perfect if you're busy, but crave knowledge. Mindful Moments delivers bite-sized insights through AI narration, so nourish your mind anywhere, anytime.
I like it.
Okay, back to the Civil War. It wasn't just states' rights.
Right.
It was a collision of totally different visions for America.
The South saw slavery as essential to their economy, their culture, their identity.
Oh.
Opposition from the North was a threat to their way of life.
It's hard to imagine how deep those beliefs were.
Yeah.
But the North, with industrialization and a changing view on slavery.
British observers noticed something interesting. They called it adaptive versatility in the North.
Adaptive versatility?
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. The ability to innovate, adapt to challenges.
Okay.
New England, with high literacy and education, led in industrial innovation.
So Yankee ingenuity wasn't just a stereotype.
Not at all.
But even with this progress, wasn't there discontent?
Absolutely. Industrial capitalism created anxiety for farmers and workers.
Interesting.
They felt exploited by the financial system. Bankers, speculators, saw themselves as the backbone of the nation, but left behind.
And that's where Andrew Jackson comes in, his populist movement.
Exactly. The Jacksonian Democrats tacked into that anti-monopoly sentiment.
Uh-huh.
They made banks the symbol of everything wrong with capitalism.
A fight that still resonates today.
Definitely.
So the North was changing, the South defending its identity.
Right.
Like two worlds colliding.
Southern nationalism was surging. And not just defending their way of life.
No.
They had these huge expansionist dreams, looking beyond U.S. borders.
They wanted to expand slavery.
Leaders like Jefferson Davis saw acquiring Cuba as key. Expand Southern influence, new territory for slavery.
So the North industrializing, the South a slave-based empire.
It's where the conflict takes root. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 was a turning point.
Oh, yeah?
Popular sovereignty on slavery in these new territories, overriding the Missouri Compromise.
Must cause an uproar in the North.
It was a betrayal, leading to the Republican Party.
Right.
All the groups opposing slavery united, from abolitionists to those wanting to contain it.
And this is where Lincoln rises.
Yes. Lincoln's moral opposition to slavery made him central to the Republicans.
Okay.
McPherson analyzes Lincoln's debates with Stephen Douglas in '58, nuanced but drew a line on slavery.
Sounds like a collision course. What next?
Lincoln's election in 1860 was the trigger.
Oh, wow.
The South saw it as a threat and seceded.
Wasn't there debate about secession's legality?
Many in the North dismissed it, but Southern loyalty to the Union depended on protecting slavery.
So a shaky foundation.
When Lincoln won, it crumbled.
What about the economies of North and South? Must have been important.
Absolutely. The South tried to catch up industrially, but too little, too late.
Like building a jet plane with wooden cloth.
The North had the advantage. Railroads, manufacturing, finance. This decided the war.
Hard to win a war, unequipped and unfed.
The war escalated into total war. It had a huge psychological impact.
Right.
The Confederate victory at Manassas in '61 fueled their overconfidence.
Thinking it'd be quick.
But both sides had to reassess. Face the reality of modern warfare.
That moment you realize you're in over your head.
And the human cost? McPherson doesn't shy away. The carnage of Shiloh, the casualties were unprecedented.
It's rough.
Olbisonville, the horrific conditions. Dehumanizing consequences of conflict.
A reminder that war scars everyone.
Yes.
We've only scratched the surface of Battle Cry of Freedom, but you get the idea.
To really grasp it, you got to read it. There's a link in the show notes.
And subscribe to the Deep Dive for more like this. Share it, tell everyone. This is just the beginning of our Civil War journey.
Much more to come. One thing that stood out is how Lincoln's views on slavery changed.
Yeah?
He didn't start as an abolitionist.
Right.
The war made him confront slavery's complexities, probably more than he expected.
That weight must have been immense. Such tough decisions.
His goal was preserving the Union, even if it meant tolerating slavery in the South.
Wow.
But the war dragged on. The human cost became so clear, his thinking shifted. He saw emancipation as moral and a military necessity.
So the war itself sped up social change.
Exactly. The Emancipation Proclamation in '63 was key.
Right.
Slaves in Confederate areas were declared free. The war became about freedom and union.
Did it free all slaves?
Not immediately. It applied to areas in rebellion, not the border states loyal to the Union.
So strategic as well as moral.
Lincoln was smart. Outright abolition would fracture the Union.
Makes sense.
But the impact was huge. The moral landscape shifted. The Confederacy weakened.
And it led to the 13th Amendment.
Well, yes.
The Civil War also brought technological change. Muskets replaced by rifles.
Yeah.
Wooden ships versus ironclads.
McPherson shows how technology revolutionized war.
For sure.
Rifles were far more accurate and deadly.
Right?
Old tactics like mass charges became suicidal.
Wow.
It changed how battles were fought.
So beyond just the weapons themselves.
The rifle favored defense. Frontal assaults became super costly.
I see.
Trenches developed. Huge casualty rates. Then you have ironclads.
Right, the Monitor and the Virginia.
Made wooden ships obsolete overnight.
Those battles must have been something else. What about society as a whole? How'd the war affect everyday life?
The role of women changed a lot.
In what way?
Men were off fighting, so women took on their roles.
Yeah.
Farms, businesses, factories, nursing.
It redefined gender roles then.
It challenged what women could do, showed their resilience.
What about African Americans? Free and enslaved.
The Emancipation Proclamation offered freedom, but it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Many joined the Union Army to fight for their own liberation.
Wow.
Faced discrimination, but showed courage.
Freedom isn't free.
No.
The South must have struggled economically.
Totally. The Union blockade, less manpower.
Oh, yeah.
Crippled their economy. Inflation, shortages. The government couldn't finance the war.
So many fronts. Military, political, economic.
But they held on for 4 years.
Why?
Sheer determination. Fighting for their way of life, homes, families.
Yeah.
They fought on familiar ground, a tactical edge.
Home field advantage.
Skilled leaders like Lee and Jackson used those advantages.
Right.
Inflicted heavy Union losses.
But the North had more resources.
The Union could field bigger armies, produce more, keep reinforcements coming.
Yeah.
The South couldn't match their industry. They weakened gradually.
Until they collapsed.
McPherson captures the South's desperation.
It makes sense.
Wars aren't won on heroism alone. Logistics, resources, industry decide the victor.
Even in defeat, the South's legacy, the war's legacy, is huge.
The issues of race, equality, federal power versus states' rights, all still debated today.
History echoing.
Understanding the past is crucial for navigating the present, building the future.
Battle Cry of Freedom gives us insight into this time.
Absolutely.
More than battles and dates. It's about people, ideas, forces shaping history.
And it's relevant beyond America. It's about the fight for freedom and equality everywhere.
McPherson also looks at the war's international side.
The Confederacy needed recognition and support.
Yeah.
They turned to Europe, Britain, France.
Okay.
Hoping their control of cotton would force intervention.
And cotton.
But they failed. Britain and France didn't want to upset the Union.
I see.
And as abolition gained traction, European opinion turned against them.
Overplayed their hand.
McPherson shows the diplomacy and maneuvering, real politic at play.
One disturbing aspect is prisoner treatment.
Yeah.
McPherson describes Andersonville. Horrible conditions.
Thousands died. Disease, starvation, neglect. Ugh. A reminder of war's dehumanizing effects.
A tough lesson to learn.
Battle Cry of Freedom has so much insight.
I bet.
Explore it yourself.
You heard it here.
And for more deep dives, subscribe to The Deep Dive.
Lots of episodes waiting.
Share this episode.
Spread the knowledge. We need those reminders about decency, especially during conflict. But what about the Civil War's lasting legacy? McPherson argues it's still with us. It wasn't just ending slavery, right?
Reshaping the nation, redefining it, national supremacy over states' rights, a stronger federal government.
And that's been debated ever since. What about race and equality?
The Civil War ended slavery, but not the racism and inequality.
Like a wound healed on top, but not underneath.
The fight for equality went on long after the war. Activism, laws, social change to address the injustices.
Still going on today.
It's complex. Triumph and tragedy, progress and setbacks.
History's not just events, it shapes us.
Battle Cry of Freedom helps us understand this time.
It does.
Makes us face the complexities, the legacies, the relevance to now.
A deep dive into America.
Enlightening and thought-provoking.
You should take that journey. Get Battle Cry of Freedom. Links in the show notes. It'll change how you see this era.
And for more thought-provoking explorations, subscribe to The Deep Dive.
We've got tons of episodes.
Share this one too.
Spread the knowledge. Keep those minds sharp, hearts open, curiosity burning. We'll be back with another deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, questioning, and diving deep.